Hey everybody, good evening, and thank you for coming to another episode of Critical Conversation in the Moment. This episode tonight, we are talking with some good people from Tiffany and the Punisher. We have Tiffany, and then we'll have her partner Darren come in, and then we also have a family member and parent with Claire. She's a parent, and she's also a parent family advocate for what we're going to be talking about tonight. We also have Gloria Talley. So let's get started. Gloria.
Okay. All right. So just want to kind of get a little bit of information about everybody. Tiffany, tell us about yourself.
Well, first of all, Carlise and I, don't you say the number either, have known each other for a very, very long time. And I've always taught people their rights. And then I got involved with CPS. So then I kind of flipped it around to realize how I could use my rights against CPS in the courts. And then I just started helping families, and my oldest daughter will be 36. So I've been doing this 36 years.
Very good. Very good. Okay. And let's keep on going. Give me your name and let us know who you are.
Hi, my name is Claire, and I am a parent of a child that got taken through CPS and DSS. We've been fighting DSS since December 7th of 2023. And we're in the process of trying to get him back now and getting protective orders disposed and all that stuff. Okay. So yeah, okay. I'm a parent of dealing with the system. So
I understand. Okay. Okay. And is the other young lady, is she going to be on?
She'll talk.
Okay.
Hi guys, my name's Ayana. I'm not a parent. I am a guardian of my, at the time it was 14-year-old sister. My siblings were put into foster care for a situation that happened between my mother and I. I was trying to get her out of my house because she was using and everything, and they, instead of removing my mother, they removed my siblings and I. So they arrested me and removed my siblings. So I've been kind of fighting with them since July of last year. So
okay. So if anybody has we're gonna need you all to cut too much of a feedback. Okay. And then we have one more. You want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can't hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you.
No. Was you asking me to introduce myself?
No, we're just doing introductions right now. So I just wanted to get we want everybody to kind of give a little bit of information about themselves.
Did everybody go?
Yeah. So it's on you.
All right. How's everybody doing?
Doing good.
All right. So my real name is James Ziegler, but I go by Knowledge. I'm originally from New York, Southside Jamaica, Queens. I lived in North Carolina, and now I'm residing in VA.
Good. Okay. All right, Lisa, you want to go ahead and get going? I mean, kind of explain exactly what we're going to be talking about. I mean, it's kind of obvious where we are at this point, but yeah.
Well, tonight's episode is going to be in the moment. We're actually going to be talking with Tiffany and her group in reference to the CPS DSS corruption and the alleged information, put that alleged out there, information that we're going to get. She's also going to tell us a little bit about how parents can use their constitutional rights to fight back at DSS and save from getting their children taken away, because they do have rights, even though CPS doesn't acknowledge that they do. They think that everybody is in the blind and don't know what they can and cannot do. And like Tiffany said, she's been doing this for a long time, and she's very knowledgeable. She carries the book around in her purse. I'm telling you, she knows what she's talking about.
Okay.
So let's get started.
That's true. That's true. I carry 3 books in my purse. I carry my Constitution, the Declaration of Human Rights, and I carry the Good Citizen book.
Mhm.
And I do teach parents their rights because CPS will tell you that you have no rights. And I don't know what I am and am not allowed to say on here, but that's bullshit. Okay? CPS is not above the law. The judge is not above the law. Hell, Donald Trump, the president, is not above the law. So when CPS comes to your door, the very first thing you need to do is, if you don't have security cameras, is turn your phone on. They're going to tell you that you're not allowed to record them. Okay, that's a First Amendment right. You can record the police. You can record anybody. Huh?
Hold on. I got something about that.
Go ahead.
I got something about that. Let me share this to you all. It's funny you should even bring that up. Hold on just a moment. Okay, let me see if I can get this video up. 1 second. Ready?
Hello.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm looking for Mr. Nicholas.
Who are you?
You're fine.
Yeah. She knows. No, I'm recording you guys.
I'm sorry?
I'm recording you guys, just so you know. I'm recording you guys. Yeah, that's all.
I'm sorry?
Yeah, I was recording you guys. That's all.
And what is the reason for?
Just that's what I do.
Okay. Just so you know, I'm not giving you permission to record me.
Well, unfortunately, ma'am, I'm protected by the First Amendment. I don't need your permission, especially when you're working in your official capacity by law. I have the right to video record you without your permission.
So just so you know, the division did receive a referral with some concerns. So I
Okay.
just have to meet with you and your family and just go over these concerns.
Okay, you meet with me. What are your concerns?
I'm sorry?
You're meeting with me. What are your concerns?
Okay. Can we come in?
No, thank you.
Okay. What is the resistance on coming in?
Because I don't like dealing with typhus. That's why. I don't like random people, strangers coming to my house.
Okay. I understand that. I know that.
So, what was your name again? Vanessa, what was your name?
Mercy.
Okay.
Okay. So we did receive concerns with concerns of physical abuse and substance abuse. So we do have to address that with you.
Okay. Well, who accused me of that?
Unfortunately, I cannot disclose that as that is confidential.
All right.
Booyah. He's got him.
Mhm.
Because let me tell you, there is no presumption of privacy in public. You have no privacy when you walk on private property that does not belong to you. And any government official, including the police, according to the United States Supreme Court, has said everybody can record government officials. Period. End of story. He did the right thing.
Okay.
And that's what they'll tell you. Well, I don't give you permission. Well, bitch, I didn't give you permission to walk up to my door.
I'm just saying.
Okay. So let's just be real about it. And I also tell people, if you have more than one ways to come out of your home, if they're at the front door, go out another door. And if the police are there, don't back down. Do not back down. The police are only there to protect the CPS workers. But here's the thing. If the sheriff's department shows up, they're in violation of your rights too, because there's no crime being committed. They're constitutional protectors. They're not code enforcers. That's what the police is for, not the sheriff's department. So they're there to back up the CPS worker. And this is what they'll say. Well, if you don't let us in the house, we're going in. Well, I wish they would tell me that, because you kick my door, and if you want to, you're going to be buying my home, because the next time you see my face, You're going to be working for me, and this county is going to be called Tiffany Wise County. So
Understood.
anyway, what was your question?
No, I was just commenting on that. I mean, I just thought it was interesting how that was how you were getting ready to open it up. I'm like, you know what? That's the first footage that I have. So it's good
Right.
to know that people do have the rights that are necessary to really, back themselves up. It's just a lot of people just don't have that knowledge. You know what I'm saying? So I
Well,
appreciate that.
now I've been doing this a long time, and I forgot that I had security cameras because I just never turned them on. I just put them out.
Mm-hmm.
So you know what? If people go back to my channel and go all the way back to 2021, if the police are there, make sure their body cam footage is on, because as soon as they leave that night, they were on my property for 2.5 hours. They tried everything. I'll run Tiffany Wise, running my tags, trying to get in my house. Anyway, I came right in my house and did a Freedom of Information Act right to the sheriff's department. Put it in my mailbox at 6 in the morning, and then me and the sheriff got into it. Do not back down. That unless you're truly abusing your kids, then you don't need them. Okay, let's just put that out there. So 90% of Amber Alerts come from CPS. That's just the facts.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Not only do you have the First Amendment right to record them, you also have Fourth Amendment rights to privacy. Don't be signing safety plans. Don't be signing HIPAA, because the new HIPAA, even if you sign it, it says right on there, we will release this to CPS, law enforcement, the courts, whatever. So what's the use in signing a HIPAA?
Right. Right.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
You also have a Fifth Amendment right to just shut up. Don't talk to them. If they say, well, we want to see the kids, take your kids to the nearest window and let them see them. Don't let them outside. Don't open any doors. You've seen them. Now, the next time you see me, you better have a removal order. And they can't even remove a child from private property without a court order warrant to get in your home. The order is not a warrant to enter a home. Okay, so don't get that twisted. You also, they will tell you that you don't have a Sixth Amendment right to face your accuser because you're not, quote unquote, being charged with the crime. Well, if you read it, it does say crime in there, but it says you have the right to face your accuser. So you need to bring the person that called to court, because what they do, let me tell you exactly what they do. I got Nurse Lexi fired for lying. So instead of bringing the two doctors in to back my daughter, why'd they bring a nurse to testify that I had the nurse fired? I would have told you. You didn't have to bring somebody to testify. I would have testified to it. I did call. And because SEC versus Javarsky was overturned, you can now have a jury trial. They're going to tell you that it doesn't matter because it's federal. But that's not correct either, because the Constitution is very clear. Local law, state law, federal law, Constitution. Federal trumps state, state trumps local, and the Constitution trumps everybody.
Mm-hmm.
We have judges that will tell people to sit down and shut up. The Constitution doesn't apply in their courtroom. Well, they've now just levied war against the Constitution and committed treason. That's a crime. We're telling people, go to uscourts.gov, download the criminal file, the criminal complaint form, and start filing it on these judges, because once there's a criminal complaint filed against them, they lose their immunity.
Yeah. Yeah. Lisa, you got any questions you want to ask Stephanie right now, or do you have anything you want to add to the situation?
Yeah, actually, well, actually, I have a few questions that I want to ask. So, what happens if the parents refuse a case plan that they believe is unjustified and executive? Can it be challenged in the court?
If once you sign a safety plan, you just signed a plea bargain and pled guilty to whatever allegations that they've accused you of, right? Safety plans are voluntary. You do not have to sign a safety plan. You can even challenge a court order, right? Because a judge here tried to court order me to cooperate with CPS. No, I'm not. And that's what I told her. It's all about consent. If you don't consent, there's nothing they can do. Now, one of your inalienable rights is to contract or not contract. Once you sign a safety plan, you have now contracted with CPS. And not only did you do that, you gave the state permission to put your children up for adoption.
Mm.
So tell me this. So when a child can a parent choose for a child to live with a family member if they are taken?
Can they choose?
Yeah,
Is that what you asked?
Can they if they're gonna, yeah, if there's a situation where they're actually going to take the child, is like, I know that there was a situation in my daughter's case where they came and said that they was going to remove her children, and she called me and said, "Mom, can you come get my kids?"
Yes. Now, here's the thing with that. A couple years ago, I don't know if it was 2022, it might have been 2022, when my daughter's case happened, I actually had a meeting with the delegate because they were here to the next day, the same day. And I told them, oh, don't think I'm not bringing this up. So what she did was she changed the wording in one of these bills. I'll have to send it to you. So now if CPS comes to the house, they say we're removing your kids, and they better have a removal order, or it's an illegal seizure under the Fourth Amendment. Anyway, and you call somebody to come and get your child, yes, that you can send your child with that family member. But here's the catch. CPS does not want to put them in kinship care because any money that they place, if any money they give to a kinship person, they're not federally backed. They're only federally backed when they're placed in foster care with strangers. Now, the law that got changed in Virginia says that if a CPS worker does not place a child in kinship care, whoever the kinship person wants to be, they have 15 days to go in front of the board of social services here, or wherever your board is. And CPS has to have a good enough reason why they can't go with the kinship. That is state law now.
Like in my situation, when I took my grandkids, we found out that they just claimed that they were taking them, but when my one grandchild had to have surgery, the paperwork that I had from CPS, I could not get surgery for him. I had to search his mom down to get her permission to have him get surgery because they did not have them actually listed under CPS.
Well, here's the thing. All you needed to have was a paper, and it doesn't even have to be notarized, is that you had guardianship of them. That's it. That's all. And they would have had to do the surgery.
So,
well, I know that there's a lot of I know that there's, a lot of, they actually request that parents do a lot in terms of being able to qualify to get their children back from CPS. But I wanted to know is, how do parents prove that they've done enough progress to get their children back before the court decides to permanently remove them?
Girl, let me tell you what they do. A parent will complete everything, okay? And if you go back and watch a video, I actually have a lawyer on here. We were on there for 2 hours. They call it moving the goal, right? Because the parents done everything. Now they want them to do more, right? Because it's not good enough what they did to begin with. Now, because they still have their job or they still have housing or whatever the case may be, their goal, and I swear to God on everything I love, their goal is to take everything from you so that they can file a TPR on you, which is a termination of parental rights. They lost their home. They didn't finish the case plan. They don't have a job, so they can't support them. But this is my thing about that. Who the hell are you? Were you in the bedroom with me when I got pregnant? Were you on the labor table with me when I gave birth? Whether I was broke, a drug addict, it doesn't matter. You don't have that right. And if people don't stand up and say enough is enough, we're not going to change anything.
Yeah.
So, Claire, can you tell us a little bit about your story and what you've gone through?
Hold on.
Yes. So my case started in December 2023. CPS and DSS came to the door December 5th and said that they received a report, which it came from my kid's father, that there was black meth in my hotel room. And I had like crystals all over my hotel room that I bought from a crystal shop, and had even showed them the receipt. So they found nothing in the room. They searched everything. I offered for them to bring the drug dogs in. I was like, you can even call the police department. You can do a whole search. Like, there's nothing in this room, I promise. And I was like, I definitely know who called because of what they said. And it ended up being my kid's dad. So I go to Amherst family practice with her that day, and I do a urine or no, I didn't go with her that day. I went in later that day, and the hours that they told me that they were open for the testing, they were closed already. So I had Amherst family practice call my case plan worker to let them know that I showed up for the testing, and that the office had closed, so they didn't use it against me. So the next morning, CPS came, showed up in my hotel room, took me and my son to the testing center, and when we got there, they said I couldn't produce enough urine. They made me do 2 different screens, and I peed both times. It wasn't enough both times. I was like, can't you just put them together? Like, you can read a drug test off of a drop of urine. And they were like, nope, you have to fill up the whole cup. And I was like, okay, well, I sat there, I drank 3 cups of water. They were like, we don't have time to wait for this, so you can come back later and do it. And they were like, but you have to take a hair follicle before you leave here. And I was like, I know for a fact I don't have to take a hair follicle before I leave here. I said, you have to have a warrant signed off by a judge to force me to take a hair follicle. And Savannah Duvall, who was my caseworker at the time, was like, okay, well, let me go call my boss, who I'm pretty sure, I think she said was Marissa Wilcom. And basically she came back in and she said, if you want to leave this office today with your kid, you have to take that hair follicle. I said, well, I don't mind taking the hair follicle. I said, but I was cleaning out my drug addict mom's house. And there was drugs all over the house. I was like, so I don't know what's going to be in my hair, but I know I can pass a urine test today. And I know for a fact that I'm not doing any drugs. And they were like, well, if you want to leave this office today with your kid, you have to take a hair follicle. So I went, they forced me to do a hair follicle. She took me back to the hotel room that I was staying in. And basically told me, we'll be back later today to come and do your other urine. And I was like, okay. They were like, just call the office, we'll have it set up. So I called the office 4 times, left voice messages, had a witness in the room with me when I did it, and they would not answer. So the next day I called my caseworker, and she was like, well, we're going to be out of the office today. Sorry, somebody didn't get back to you. I've been in meetings all morning, so I don't know. Like, we'll just get someone to take you today. So I found a ride there because they weren't answering my phone calls. They weren't showing up, and got a test done. So it was like 4:00 in the afternoon, and there was only one tester in there. It was Michaela Butcher, and she's the one who falsified my first urine test. And So I went in, did the urine test, came back out. She checked it. It was negative on the whole panel. I've been in the nursing field since I was 16. So I've read so many drug tests, it's unreal. And I was like, that test is negative all the way across. There's nothing on that test that is positive. I said, can I take a picture of that and send it to my caseworker? And she snatched it up in front of me and she was like, absolutely not. She's like, that's not going to be necessary. And she looked at my kid and she was like, you better enjoy your time with your mom. She's been smoking meth. And she like took the test and she went back in her office and she was like, you need to leave the office. She was like, we're closed. And I was like, okay. So we went to the main part of like the Amherst family practice and I waited there for about an hour till my Uber got there. And I went back to the hotel room and was there for about 45 minutes with Tay. And the police came beating on the door, CPS, and they said, we just received a call that you were positive for methamphetamine. We're removing your child. And I was like, I'll do another drug test with the police department right here. I said, I'm telling you guys, I was not positive there. And they were like, no, that's not necessary. We don't do that. We're just removing the child. And my kid was freaking out. My kid looked at him and he was like, my mom would never choose drugs over me. And they removed him and he's been gone since December 7th. And they put a protective order in place until he is 18. They falsified my hair follicle results. Michaela Butcher falsified them as well as my first urine. I even have a letter from like Lisa Davis, the supervisor at Amherst Family Practice, that says there was at no point can a tester tell you what you're positive for. They're only trained to say inconclusive. So there was no way she could have even told me what I was positive for. She falsified my hair follicles and I requested my results, which CPS refused to give me initially. So because I've been in the medical field for so long, I just went to the Amherst Family Practice and put in a medical request form for all my results. And when they gave them to me, they were really like abnormal. Like the paper doesn't like even like where the forms are at, like the words are above the lines or under the lines or in between the lines. Like it's not a professional form. And I just knew looking at it, like there was just no way. They said my kid had 3 different drugs in his system that I didn't have and like all this just crazy stuff. And the levels were so like insane. They said that my level for methamphetamine was like 6,000 and my kids was like 5,900 and something. So it was like, how if I'm doing it and I know for a fact my kid's not doing it, how is that the levels? And how does he have cocaine in his system? And how does he have marijuana in his system?
I mean, that's what I'm trying to figure out at this point.
Yeah,
now.
I'm like, I'm not understanding. And how is my kid perfectly fine if all these drugs are in his system? And you know, so
how old is your son?
My son was 3 at the time.
Well, then he should have been in a hospital.
He would have been dead.
With that level of drugs. That's
what I meant. Like that's like right there, and I close to where. Yeah,
I said that to the CPS worker, and the only thing that they did for him when they found out there was drugs in his system was they scheduled an appointment with his pediatrician, who we went in. They took his temperature, and Dr. I think his name is Dr. Caldwell, was like, "Yep, he looks great. He's doing great."
But yet he had.
But they didn't take him to no ER
in his system.
No,
right?
Nope.
You would have said, but yet he was. Yeah. Okay.
So he had 5,900 grams of methamphetamine. Right. Yeah, and 1,000 some grams of coke and all this weed in his system.
He should have been in ICU.
Yeah. I'm. You know. That part. Well, what evidence of documentation?
Yes.
What evidence, documentation, or witness support should a parent begin gathering the moment CPS tries to get involved?
What she said? She said, "What evidence and what reports should
what kind of documentation or evidence can a witness support can a parent begin gathering the moment CPS is trying to say, okay,
well, this is what I tell parents. I don't care if your kid's in school, daycare, goes to the doctor. You must have a good relationship with all these people, okay? Because the documentation over however long your child has been in this world is proof enough. But here lies the problem. The judge will tell you to sit down and shut up. That's a 14th Amendment due process right? Now, you have a right to present your case and defend yourself, but they don't want to hear what you have to say because CPS has already tarnished your name.
Yeah, Judge Athey literally looked at me and I tried to show the evidence that I had. Like, I have paperwork even from Quest Diagnostics where they say there's no way there's a hair follicle on file or record in our entire database system because I put a request in for my son's entire life. Like, a hair follicle died the whole time. I even sent the test results that they said were from that day. And they said, we have nothing that matches that anywhere.
So Claire, tell me, you go to the council meetings, and I know you do advocating at the council meetings along for advocating for other families. So what has been concluded through these council meetings? Have they tried to make any waves to do anything about the situation?
No.
Or
no. The last time that we were at a town council meeting last week on Tuesday, the attorney for the town council literally said, we have no jurisdiction over DSS and CPS, so there's nothing that we can do no matter how much you guys say, basically summed up what she said. And we spoke anyways, and I told them it's not about necessarily you guys doing directly anything to change it. It's that you guys are aware of what's going on in your town because you guys are elected officials and you guys are in a position of power to change things. So if things are going wrong in a town that's tearing apart families that you're in charge of protecting, I, as a town council member, if I was in their shoes, would want to know. And I would want to take any route that I possibly could to help the families that are being affected or to make the changes that need to happen in this town. Because this is the thing. If we don't speak up, they don't know. And if they don't know, they can't do anything about it. Now, if they do know and they don't do anything about it, they're just as bad as the ones doing it. So
tell me this, if they don't have jurisdiction over CPS and DSS, who has the jurisdiction?
I asked the same thing.
There is no oversight. CPS cannot police themselves. The police cannot police themselves, right? But that's what they're doing. The judges cannot police themselves because when you make a judicial if you send something in and on a complaint on a judge to the Judicial Review Board, well, who are you complaining to? A bunch of judges who already know the judges. So what good does it do? It does nothing.
So what's the due process in this corruption?
You want me to be honest with you? Burn that shit down and we need to rebuild it the correct way. That's the only way to reform it.
Well, which is what you and I talked about today. And I sent you the thoughts that I had on what should be done. And some of those thoughts were, I feel that the state needs to, I feel that the state needs to have a board of people that they have to go in front of and say, hey, we got this situation. And let that board make the decision on whether a child is to be removed from their parents or not. And
let me tell you how that works.
If the board decides not to remove these children, then they need to put in place a program that's going to help these parents, a step-by-step, whatever needs to happen to help these parents be able to keep their kids, but also comply with what they need to take care of their kids.
Well, here's the thing. The biggest problem is the attorney generals in every state gave them permission to remove children. He represents the state. That's the problem.
So how far up in legislation will you have to go to be able to get these changes?
Probably done.
Well, here's the thing. I will tell you change is coming. And I'm going to tell you how I know. I follow the Supreme Court and I follow DC. I follow the senators and the congressmen. Right now, Tim Scott, the senator out of North Carolina, has a parental rights bill on the floor right now. And this is the basis of it, that the parents are in control. The state needs to mind their business. And if a child is removed, the parent can then sue. Right? And the child has to be returned.
Right. Well, that's what we also talked about too. Yeah.
Also,
where the state should be responsible for when these children are taken from their parents. They should be responsible for the emotional, physical, and sexual trauma that these children go through. The state should be the one paying the medical bills. The state should be the one that's doing all this, and the parents should be able to get paid for the trauma that the state's done put on their children.
right. See, I do shows on Wednesday with a girl out of California. She got a guy on out of Virginia. This man started going to all these judges conventions, and he said, they thought I was a judge. And he said, I asked them, how do you sleep at night? Removing children. And they said, but we're the heroes. We're protecting them. No, you are the zeros that are causing harm to families, because my kids, you and I have been friends a very long time.
Yeah.
They still have PTSD. Are you kidding me? You're a hero. You're a big fat zero. That's what you really are.
Right. So let me hear from the other young lady. I'm sorry, I forgot her name. That she said that
Hold on.
She has siblings.
Here's Anna. Hi.
Hi. So tell me your story.
So basically, my two siblings, they were placed into foster care back in July of last year. And my youngest sibling, she's been placed in and out of foster care since she was, I think, 4 or so. But I had custody of my middle sister when she turned 14. I was 19 at the time, because we had found out that her biological father that CPS had placed her with was molesting her. And when I went to them and asked them for help, they told me that they couldn't do anything because it wasn't their jurisdiction, because he had up and left and moved with her down to Roanoke and didn't say anything to anybody. So whenever I went to CPS here, even though we had a case here, they told me that they couldn't do anything. So I had to go and fight all that and everything. But this is a different case with the girls being removed now. There was an incident between me and my mother. My mom came home messed up one night, and we had gotten into it. She was up in my face, and she was spitting in my face because she was messed up. And so I had pushed her back, and I told my sister that I had custody of at the time to call the police so we could get her out of the house, because I had asked her to leave. My dad had asked her to leave, and then the girls had asked her to leave as well. And to me, I'm taking care of your kids. I'm asking you to leave. You need to get out. So,
did they remove her, or
no? The cops came. No, the cops came. They arrested me for assault, and then they removed my siblings, and my mom got to stay. And then they processed me at the jail and let me out right after they processed me. But I still had to come home to my mom that same night, and my siblings weren't at home.
Did they try to use that situation against you when you were trying to, I guess, continue?
Yes, most definitely. And I still got that charge dismissed and everything because of the circumstances, because it was basically out of self-defense. She was spitting in my face, so I got her.
Yeah, she actually did the assault initially, and that's how I saw it immediately when you started telling your story. That's crazy. That is crazy. Let me ask you, when it comes down to getting attorneys and things, let's say that person can't afford an attorney. Yeah, that's what I want to know. What happens in a situation like that?
I'm in a situation like that, so I couldn't tell you.
Well, I do know that they will say that because I've been
I'll
in a
answer that. The first thing is if you can't afford an attorney, they'll give you one, first off. But let me tell you about
their attorney, right? It's not somebody like you can't make that. Obviously, you can't make the choice. They're not going to give you 3 people to say, okay, you can check between the 3. Or, I mean, how does that work?
They just give you one. Whoever's next.
No, they give you the ones that are close with all the DSS workers.
Right. Well, they all are.
That's where I was trying to. Yeah, that's.
But they all drink. right? They all drink from the same water cooler. So in order for you to win your case, you got to get it out of state court. Okay? Because the very first time they're going to violate your rights. The very first time that your rights get violated, that's an automatic federal thing. Okay? These are Article 1 judges that we're talking about. You go in front of an Article 3 judge, that's federal court. And you file a criminal complaint and you file a civil complaint. Because at the end of the day, these judges are full of shit. They know they're oppressing parents. So unless you get an attorney like we did 6 hours from here out of Roanoke, who does not play with CPS and who thinks they're the scum of the scum of the scum of the earth, your lawyer that they just gave you is going to walk your ass right to the judge and hand you up on a silver platter and say, she's going to do everything you want her to do, whether she likes it or not. And that's when you turn to him and say, your ass is fired.
Let me ask you a question. Let me ask you one more question. These lawyers that they choose for the people, are they usually at the end of their educational thingy, whatever? The reason I'm asking is because how do I want to put this? It's my understanding, and I could be wrong. Let me put this word allegedly up because I don't want anybody to be sued. Hold on just a moment. Yes. So allegedly, everyone, it's my understanding that the majority of the attorneys that they will choose for you do not have the experience that you necessarily have to have in order to even attempt to win a case. So have you noticed that there's a lot of that newbies, so to speak, newbie attorneys or pre-attorneys or however you want to call them?
Look here.
Allegedly.
They brought me in as a joiner because they swore up and down that I was hiding my daughter. Oh, Miss Wise is hiding her daughter. She's belligerent. She's this, that, and the third. I get to court. I hired my own attorney. I get to court. I hear this, Miss Wise. I turn around and look. He looked younger than my daughter. He said, I'm your lawyer. I said, and Carly said, you know how I am. I ain't got no filter, and I say exactly what I think. I said, little boy, I will chew you up and spit you out. You are not my attorney. Are you kidding me? You need to represent yourself. Yeah. I help people prepare for court, right? But here's the thing. People are intimidated. And let me tell you, and Carlise has been in the courtrooms with me. She knows. I'm not intimidated by you. All men are created equal. I don't care if you wear a black robe, a badge, or a bum in the street. Honey, we're all the same. And you will respect me, or let me tell you how I am. I have to take 6 CBD gummies and 3 passion flowers because I get reckless. Because I don't care. You will not disrespect me. You better not tell me to sit my ass down and shut up. You better not tell me that the Constitution doesn't apply because I'm going to pull your oath because I'm going to have it with me. I even had a judge say, I said, I have a real problem with people sidestepping the 14th Amendment, right? This is what I told the judge. It doesn't matter, Miss Wise. You got served. I said, oh, good thing I took all that medicine before I left. Then I held up a piece of paper right from the constitutional law book. I photocopied it. Nobody can take life, liberty, or property without due process of the law. This dude is going to smile like this. Thank you, Miss Wise, for teaching me the law. Well, somebody needs to teach you the law because ignorance of the law is no excuse, and you're supposed to be a judge? Get out of here.
Executive administrator.
Get out of here.
Hey, I'm sorry.
I won my case, by the way. I won.
Good. Jay, you got any questions
you know what they say? 2 birds of feather flock together.
You got any questions, Jay?
I mean, on one hand, I agree, and on one hand, I disagree because I went through the system. So
So tell me
the
what you
system that,
disagree with.
like the judge that I had, he wasn't really a prick. He made me see reality of it. Now, as far as what my mother went through, watching her go through the hoops and hurdles of going through the classes, yeah, they do make you do that. You know what I'm saying? Um, I came up in a different time and era of it. I didn't get adopted until I was 12. I was with my family that raised me from the age of 3. Really, 2 going on to 3, going on to my 3rd birthday. Um, so I got to spend some weekends with my moms. And the rest of the time frame, I was with my family that I grew up around. 7 girls, 1 boy.
Mm.
In my biological family, I'm the second. Oh, I'm the first oldest. But out of my dad's child, my dad got over 14 kids.
Mm,
Mm.
that's all right.
Somewhere
Well,
like
I mean,
somewhere
I
like
agree
number
with
16.
yeah. I mean, I'm not gonna sit there and
Um,
lie. I've experienced as a child growing up, I experienced my own hell or terror, whatever of the CPS system. I mean, it's kind of crazy to me because some things that God just don't let you forget. And like you, Jay, I was adopted too. So I was initially in the foster care system. I recall a lot from the foster care system, and not just that, the foster care system, I don't know, and I know that I'm gonna use the word allegedly, but in my particular situation, I'm not even sure if that they actually even do an investigation, a thorough investigation on the placements of the, you know what I'm saying, on who these kids are placed with, because I went through a lot, you know what I'm saying. And so that's kind of where there's a negative for me in terms of the
I'm so
foster care
sorry that you
system.
went
I
through
think
what
that
you went
when they
through.
think that the people have money, when they feel like these people that want to pull you into their home or whatever, when they feel like they have money, I just feel like there's real questions that are not being asked. Because if that were the case, then I would have never gone through the torment that I know that I went through initially. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
So, mhm.
do you know? Do you know what
I'm
the
actually
statistics
she said
are?
both sides of the track.
Mhm.
I
Do
said
so
I'm
any of
actually
like
you
going to both
know
sides of the track. What'd you say?
so the statistics are the world
the
already unturned.
statistic?
Uh, uh,
The
Listen what I'm
statistic
saying,
of
because
a child. There's
that's
a
what I'm saying,
national
because
statistic.
I beat the odds.
No, no, no. That's not what I'm talking about. Trust
That's
me,
what I'm
honey. I
saying. The
beat all
statistic.
the odds.
Listen. What I'm telling you. I became a man at the age of 12. 12. I stand on that because I didn't just have my life in my hands. I had my baby twin sister life in my hands. So when I say I beat the odds, I beat the odds. Grew up in one of the toughest neighborhoods known on the United States sides. I grew up under the American gangsters. Not proud of it, but it's the era I grew up in. I'm an 83 baby. I'm an epidemic baby. I was around when crack first hit the system. My mother and father was one of the top dope dealers coming out of New York. My dad got deported back to Jamaica. Family, blood, kin, turned their back. I was written off the field. My
Mhm.
own
That's
hell
horrible.
was Southside Jamaica, Queens. I was bred to fight the whole 9 yards. Concentration camp is my neighborhood.
Mm.
40 guys standing on the corner. And if you ain't respected, you don't get a pass to walk through that mob. You better figure out another way home.
That's crazy.
I'm respected all the way through my neighborhood, through and through. My name is Knowledge, and I earned the name. I stand on it. I built on it. I made my bones off of it.
And let me ask y'all
I
a
took
question.
I
I'm
took
sorry.
8 of them. I took 8 bullets in 2020. Lost my mother 4 months after it. Prior to that, 3 years straight back to back. Lost 3 homeboys that I'd done business with for over 14 years consecutively. Shot. One time, dropped. I took 8 and I'm still here. So I live
So
with
can I ask you
PTSD.
this, Knowledge? Can I ask you this? So when does it come to a time where you, as the person that had to grow up in the system, to be able to put behind you, even though that's what made you, but put behind you to be that next level person?
At the time, I was young, so growing up under the era I grew up under, the guys I grew up, you take your lick on the chin and keep on ticking. I did a 3-year bid behind my squad. And the only reason why I took it on the chin is because I was the head of my squad. I fed the bill. So it was my grandmother. She came and saw me, knowing she was sick, wasn't able to make the trip, but she did anyway.
Mm.
And then it took a couple of old heads that I earned their respect on the yard that said I wasn't built for the life. I adapted to the life, I coped to the life, but I wasn't built for the life.
That makes sense, though. That makes a
So at
lot of
some
sense.
given point, you gotta man up or woman up, boss up, however you want to take it. But I knew at a young age I was built to be a boss because of the bloodline that I come from. My mother always told me I'm a king. My grandfather told me I'm a king. My father that raised me told me I'm a king. So at some given point in time, you got to go from being a boy to being a semi-man to all the way manning up.
Let me ask y'all.
25, I came home and I manned up.
Yeah. I do want to ask a question. So, Tiffany, are CPS workers allowed to question your child at school or daycare without even notifying you? And what can a parent do after that? Let's just say that they do. So, what can a parent do after that?
Okay, so first, let me tell you about this national thing. This national statistic came out, and it said children that are placed in foster homes are 600, you heard me, 600 times more likely to be murdered, sexually abused, physically abused, and neglected. It's a national, I can back everything up that I'm telling you. I got all the proof. Anyway, so when I tell my parents when their kids go to school to contact me because I have this letter and you put your information on there, the child's information on there, and it basically says this: no one from the principal all the way down to the janitor better talk to my children or my child unless I am present. It says this includes CPS, the police, the principal, the counselor, anybody. And if you talk to my child about anything other than education and I am not there, I will sue you under 42 USC 1983. Then I will serve you with a color of law form. You have it notarized. You send it to the Board of Education in whatever state you live in. You send it to your local school board. I hand delivered mine to the principal. And I meant every word that's on there. No, they are not allowed to talk to them. If the police can't talk to them, CPS cannot talk to them. Now, they'll tell you, don't listen to Miss West. She's trouble. Yeah, I am trouble. I'm trouble for you because not only am I telling you what I know, I have case law to back me up. You cannot get around me, over me, under me. It does not matter. I will bring the facts when I come.
But the
So
fact
no, the
is,
answer is no.
I'm going to honestly say the fact is you just proved it. 95% of them kids ain't got somebody at home to talk to say what's being done to them. They're afraid that they're afraid of their assailant. They're a
Listen,
product. Hold
I
on, they're
want
a
you to
product
understand something,
of their
knowledge.
environment.
I do not advocate for anybody, and Carlisa can testify to this. If you abuse a child, I come from a parent advocate to now a child advocate, and you will lose your children.
So what I'm
Period. End of
saying is,
story.
you're giving them a letter to hand in that's notarized, and if something happens to that child, and take this because my dad was a teacher for special ed. My dad that raised me was a teacher for special ed. So he took his own money. Times where it's just supposed to be me and him going to basketball games, he paid for his whole class to go out of his own pocket because the school didn't want to let him raise money to take the kids to a basketball game. 95% of them kids that was written off was able to go to my dad and express how they felt. My
And you
dad
know
took
what?
psychiatry up. He took
And I
psychiatry up
understand that.
just as a teacher.
Listen, I understand that, but let me tell you something. I do not advocate for child abuse. Trust me when I tell you this. I would never give it to a parent that I truly believe has abused their kids. And
But
trust
this
me,
is what
I
I'm
screen
saying.
my parents. I screen
It's
my parents.
they're wolf in sheep clothing. You don't know it's a
Listen,
wolf
I
in the
have
sheep clothing until it comes out.
Carlisa, tell him I got a bullshit meter.
I'm just saying, there's
Oh
some
yeah.
people
Sue
that
me
can
almost
outread
30
a
Yeah,
bullshit.
years.
like
I'm
right,
just
but
saying.
like
I'm
it
not saying
depends
that
on,
you don't.
but you gotta
I'm
it
just saying
depends
that.
on the
Go
area
ahead.
that you're in. It depends on your jurisdiction. Like in some areas it's a lot worse than it is in other areas. Like you said, you
Not
was raised
every
in New
place
York.
is the
Stuff in
same.
New York
Yeah,
is a lot different than it is a
it's
little further
totally
down
different from here. Yes.
south. You know what I'm saying? So like it just depends on your jurisdiction and the location you are. It just so happens that the kids were fortunate in the area that you're in that they had a dad like you. You know what I'm saying?
You know what I'm
And
saying?
like
Because
for
I don't. You don't get that.
exactly.
It's
So that's what I'm
it's a
saying.
one in a million chance.
In your right in your jurisdiction, it just was lucky that you had your dad was that kind of a person. But in all jurisdictions, everything is different. Like in the jurisdiction that she's from, I'm not trying to be funny, but the location that we're from is actually the good old boy system. So like
Yeah,
things are a
my dad from
whole lot
Savannah.
totally different than up
Yeah,
north,
that good old boy system
further
is
up north.
different. Yeah, that good old boy system is different. My uncle that I grew up around, he's a Cochran. So just a small history of the Cochran family. Your firstborn male is supposed to be named Johnny Cochran. Johnny Cochran, the lawyer, was my grandfather's first cousin. So my uncle graduated top of his class, went to the military, came home, got an honorable discharge, top of his class. When he came back home, he was considered a good old boy, heart of the town. Got the keys to the city in '98. because they had a flood in Albany, Georgia. He went around on his speedboat rescuing people from the top of their roof. So they gave him the keys to the city. Now here was the double-edged sword. My aunt, Geraldine Cochran, she found him grants that was non-refundable for them to build apartment complex to give to the members that either got evicted, that had nowhere to go. You know, some of them had families, was mothers, single mothers. So he built the apartment complex. The city came back with a counter offer to buy it. He didn't want to sell. So my aunt told him, she said, either you sell it or they're going to try to tear down everything that you want built, that you want done good for. It took him
You say
about a
you're from
month.
New York?
I'm from New York, but I was raised in between New York and Albany, Georgia.
Gotcha. Well, just so you know, New York and Texas are the only two states right now that have parental rights, Miranda rights.
Yeah. They offered to give me back to my mother. The judge, this was the judge's exact words before we went to deliberation or go to lunch. He said, we come back, he said the decision will be made, but he said it won't be made by me. When we came back from lunch, we waited probably like 45 minutes to an hour, almost 2 hours for my mother to come back. She never showed up. But before we went to lunch, the judge kicked everybody out of his chambers but me. And I'll never forget the words that he said to me to this day. He said, at the end of the day, the decision doesn't lie on me. He was saying himself, didn't rely on him, didn't rely on my mother, it didn't rely on my parents that raised me. At 12 years old, the decision lied directly on my shoulders. But he said, before you answer, or before you come back with an answer, he said, think about it like this. He said, you're not just answering for you, you're answering for your baby sister too. Because when they took us from my mother had it that we wouldn't be split up. We had to be in the same household.
Virginia
So the
doesn't
judge
care
made
about
it.
that. Virginia does
The
not care.
judgment.
I
I
don't
get
mean to
that.
cut you off. I don't mean to cut you off, knowledge, but for real, this state, based upon the that I went through, doesn't care about that. They refuse to even listen. We have a system in place right now that typically you cannot find your bio parent or anything. You know what I'm saying? They shut it off.
Well,
You
actually,
well,
July
let me,
1st,
yeah.
July
I was
1st,
about to
if
come
you
up with
were
it.
adopted,
I was about to say something. Yep. But
you
here's what
can
I
get your
did do.
birth certificate.
Here's the thing. Before they even pass that, before they even pass that, what I can say is that let me just put it like this: my bio mom, whom they took me from, CPS took me from, is specifically told her that she would never, ever get to see me again. Well, that didn't work because I was the most determined individual that I could possibly. You know how you have like you walking down the street of certain areas and everything, all of a sudden it flashbacks. You like you know I was in college when it hit me. I knew that I had been adopted. I knew. I listen, guys. If you saw the movie Losing Isaiah, that was me. I was Isaiah. Everything that you saw, the emotions that he went through, the screaming, the hollering, the all of that, that was me. That was traumatizing. And that's the one thing that CPS that I feel does not take into consideration that when you're technically destroying some of the lives or attempting to destroy some of the lives of these little people. And I call them little people because I was only 4. These are little people. They got the rest of their lives ahead of them, but they've been traumatized based upon a decision that these people made. This woman gave birth to me in a park. I see where they come from about removing me, but at the end of the day, why did she give birth to me in a park? She was kicked out by her mother after her mother had attempted to get me out of her stomach. Do you get what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, people got to do what they got to do. You can't look negatively upon everybody that's out. I mean, if you got the proof, by all means, you got to do whatever you got to do. But at the end of the day, no one really listens to the child. In the state of
Nope.
Virginia, no one listens to that 4-year-old kid. And that 4-year-old kid has a wealth of information that is definitely needed to be put out. So things like this, the corruption of CPS, can stop. They can. I will not look. If I could listen, imagine being taken by your feet. One woman's taking your feet, the other woman's taking your hands, and you're literally like almost as if they're swinging you, and they're trying to get you out that door. And if you as a 4-year-old kid don't want to go nowhere because you love whoever this is, you've already started calling that person mama. So no one's really looking at anything when it comes down to a 4-year-old child. Everybody's so wrapped up in the adult perspectives and all that stuff. You really, 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 really need to listen to a kid, because a kid can really put their heart right there, out there. Some of them don't even know when things are wrong. You know what I'm saying? But just putting a moment out there, letting that child talk, you will find out where the things are wrong. But see, that's the problem. No disrespect to CPS, but I'm going to put it out there. In my case, CPS did none of those things. I was at my home at the age of 4 that night that they brought me to that house on a phone. Didn't know how to operate it. I'm 4, but I picked up that phone and I wanted to go home. I never went home. To this day, I never went home. So I mean, but I know we got to draw this to a close because we are a little
That's
over
so
an
cute.
hour right now. But I want to also talk some more about this. This is just, I consider this a part 1 situation. There are
Yes,
bigger
it is.
things.
This is part 1.
Yeah, there's bigger things to talk about. We need to bring people on that have had issues. You know what I'm saying? We're going to keep on bringing on people that have had issues with CPS. Those have had experiences with CPS as a kid, as an adult, however you want to do it. We need to hear from those people, because I'm telling you, CPS does not protect those kids as much as they are acting like they do. Because a person can take you out of one situation that may be bad, but they will definitely put you in another situation that's even worse.
It's even worse.
It can destroy you. It can destroy you if your mind is not solid and it's not grounded enough. So that's my take on it. Lisa, go ahead. You were saying?
And that's what it is. And at the end of the day, that's what happens. The CPS, DSS, courts, law enforcement, all of them, they are ruining our children by emotional, physical, and sexual abuse that's going on in these foster care homes, these group homes, all of these places that they're putting these children in. Group homes, foster care, all these places that they're putting these children, they are getting harmed, and the state is not being responsible for their care when it comes down to getting therapy.
Even though they're responsible for the placement of that child.
Even though they're responsible for doing it.
Yes.
So well, I need everybody to please stay tuned, because Critical Conversation is going to have a part 2 to this segment, and it's called The Aftermath. We're going to talk about what happens to our children when CPS takes them away, how they are affected in the system, how they are hurt in the system. CPS, DSS will not get away with what they got going on. These states cannot keep on getting away with this. So we are going to have a part 2. So hopefully Tiffany, Claire, and a couple other families can join us in the aftermath.
Yeah, definitely.
Say something to her. I'm so sorry for everything that you went through in foster care. They say that the strongest soldiers go through the most, so I think that your tests become part of your greatest testimony, and you have such an impact and a story to be able to impact other people and lives and like help in such a positive way. But I'm so sorry for everything that you went through.
And I appreciate that. I really do. And to be fair, it may sound crazy, but I'm kind of glad I did go through it.
That's what I said the other day. I was like, I'm kind of
Because
glad
it
I went
made,
through all this stuff because it gave me
yeah,
a platform to help a lot of people. And we're all just walking each other at
exactly.
the end of the day. So we have to make that walk on each other as easy as possible.
That's it. We got to start holding people accountable for things that they're doing to our
Exactly.
young people. You know what I'm saying? We got to hold them accountable. And because they just throw you in there, no counseling, no nothing. They just, hey, here goes the kid. Knock yourself out. Do whatever you may, and it's all
Well,
good.
I'm
And
going to
let
be
me tell
starting a
you,
committee. Hold on, Carlisa. I start sitting on a committee next month to reform CPS. So I hope they're watching because I told you I was coming. Here I come.
I want everybody to give off their social media so we can know how to follow you or what have you, to kind of see what you all are doing on your platforms. Jay, I'm gonna start with you. I'm sorry, knowledge. I'm sorry, you know me. Hey, but
Nah,
go ahead.
nah, it's cool. You could follow me on Facebook on JAI Ziegler, Zeigler. Instagram is the same thing, JAIZEIGLER, but you're gonna have knowledge 00. I also have my company, Lions and Gorillas, uh, spelled Lions with a Z, Gorillas with a Z. You'll see my logo's up there. I have a half lion, half gorilla face on there with a crown.
Okay.
Um, I have a lot of different things that I go on. I do advocate, you know what I'm saying? I do contents that keep people going because I'm also a 5-time gunshot victim. So, I deal with a lot when it comes to
You got a
I
lot to talk about. You got a lot to talk about. Yeah, yeah. What about you, Tiffany?
most definitely.
Tell us about your.
Well, my YouTube channel is Tiffin the Punisher. It's under my name. And we normally go on Monday through Thursday from 7:30, 7:15, 7:30 to whenever. And I do a show with Deidre on Wednesdays. That's through some law firm that she works with. I don't want to say his name because I don't want him to sue me. And I'm on Facebook, Tiffany and Mitch Wise. But that's how people find me. I'm on YouTube all the time.
Okay, and the young ladies.
My name is
Claire.
Claire Connor on Facebook, so CLARE, CONNOR, and then on Instagram it's Claire Mason with an underscore behind it, so CLAREMAY 5
I want to say something to you, Claire. You're
Yes.
strong. Stay strong. I need you to be strong
It's
because
hard.
I know it's hard, but sweetheart, I can promise you. Let me tell you. Like I said, I was taken from my mother at 4. She tried everything she could possibly do to keep me, and I know, but she was only 16. There wasn't so much that she could do. You know what I'm saying? But when they told her that she would never ever get to see me again, they lied. They lied. And the only reason I said they lied, the truth of the matter was they were making sure they would do everything to keep me from seeing her again. But
Right.
I'm strong. Your babies, they're going to be strong. No matter what happens, you're going to see them again. I just want to make sure you knew that. Okay.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I'm
Lisa,
gonna keep her strong. Don't worry about that. She
I know
got
you
me.
will. I know you will. I know you will. Lisa, what you got, honey?
Well, and you can find me, Lisa Jackson, on Facebook. You can find me, L Jackson, on Instagram. It's L Jackson 0406. You can find me on TikTok, Sissy 582. And you can find me here on Critical Conversations. So guess what? I've known these ladies for a long time. This is what we do. And like I said, we will be back with a part 2 to this episode. And it's going to be called The Aftermath. We want to talk to these parents. We want to talk to some of these parents that have still fighting to get their children back or have gotten their children back, and what's the aftermath of
What's
when
the
they've gotten their
aftermath
children
of
back?
that? What right?
What
Because
what are
honey,
they
there's
dealing
a
with? What are they dealing with now
whole
that the state
thing.
does not want to help them with when it comes down to PTSD, when it comes down to sexual assault, when it comes down to physical abuse of these children that's in the system? We want to
They just
know,
want them
and we're
quiet.
going to
They
find
just want
out.
them quiet. They just want them quiet. And then at the end of the day, when something goes awry, then they'll be the first face that you'll see in the daily newspaper. You understand what I'm saying? But my name is
Yes.
Gloria Talley. I am from GT Management, IANTV, Independent. What is it? IAN, Independent Artist Network TV. And also I have another channel. It's called Toxic Talk. And that usually films every other Tuesday at 8 o'clock, like this lovely platform films every other Tuesday, independent of that. I really pray that you all come back. I hope that whoever is listening was inspired, and know that you do have rights
Hmm.
and you have the ability to fight. Don't give in and don't give up. All right, everyone. Well, listen, I appreciate everybody for being here. Thank you all for coming, and I hope to see you all in 2 weeks. Okay. All right.
Thank
All right.
Good night.
Good night, y'all.
Thanks for
you.
coming.
Yeah.
Good night.